the order you need to give as input, and follow-up prompts for artificial intelligence. And also how to obtain reliable answers, maybe even with precise references to scientific resources. All this is already happening, usually in the wrong way. In Kazakhstan, where I work, the students would already ask the AI to write their course papers, but that quality you would get then. That was unusable. Stefan Noack, he will address all these topics and also warn about some risks of using AI, especially the hallucinating problem and how to avoid that. He has also prepared some exercises, some tasks and solutions for you, which you can practice at home. So please, ladies and gentlemen, download all the materials from my website, and you can train at home. He has also given his email address in his presentation, so if you have any questions, you can contact him later. After his presentation of around 1 hour, we will have plenty of time for questions and answers and for discussion. Stefan, thank you very much for being with us today. It's interesting, he's not a lawyer, but he has also developed one example, a Indonesian constitutional law coach, which you can download from my website. And when you see what a non-lawyer can get out of artificial intelligence, even today, that is already quite impressive. Stefan, the floor is yours. Yes, we can see that, but not in the presentation mode. Yes. Was it okay? But fortunately, Indonesians don't speak that fast. Otherwise, I would not understand any word. Okay, they say it was okay, Stefan.
different words with each other. So now an AI knows if you say tomato, then it knows, okay, it's a fruit, but also it is considered by other people as vegetables. Then it will draw conclusions. You can use it for a salad, and so on and so on and so on. It has the color red. Red is also a color of this and this, and so on. And so, like your human brain works, and therefore that AI becomes like a brain, like a good source. We need deep learning. So, to put it in a framework, the overall term is artificial intelligence. This is what we are interacting with. We are interacting with AI systems. These AI systems, they are based on machine learning. This is a part of AI. So a computer program that can learn and acquire intelligence. Therefore, we need machine learning. We are like developing algorithms that can learn. And the way we train those algorithms is done by deep learning, which is then a so-called subset of machine learning. And those deep learning techniques, they are based on multi-layers of neural networks. So there's a big amount of training data that we are connecting and that we are training machines like the AI algorithms with it. And then we put it all this together into an AI systems. I want to understand you how an AI system is built. So when you enter something in ChatGPT, this is the structure of ChatGPT. And then in 2022, we had another major breakthrough with the development of ChatGPT. There were versions of ChatGPT before, 1 and 2. We never heard of it. The major breakthrough happened with ChatGPT 3 because there they were using native language models. So now it felt like you are talking to an actual human. So now all this code, all this data, these neural networks, they could be like expressed through this AI system. So now this generative AI system could react to an input of you, and based on their database, they could respond with a text, with an image, with an audio, or an video, always based on their training data and your prompt. So now I was talking a lot about prompts. A prompt is a specific input from you, the user, or an instruction that is given to an AI system. And this instruction that I give, I do it because of a purpose. I want to initiate a particular process or a computation to generate a response, perform a task, or create content. And this means the AI system is trained on massive amount of data, like your brain. And everything depends on the prompt, the input you give to the AI system. The better you input it is, the better is the output. I mean, it's the same with you. If I tell you to bring me a coffee, for example, then I guess most of you will not bring me the coffee that I wanted. You will bring me some coffee, you will be creative, you start getting creative, some will put in milk, some will put in sugar, and so on. It's a very simple example, but this is how ChatGPT or how AI systems work. If it's a very unconcrete input, the AI will do everything, or maybe what the AI is like thinking about to satisfy your input. But if I give you an exact input, like I want 0.5 liters of black coffee from, I don't know, let's say from South Africa, and it has to be like this, especially roasted amount of time, and there are like two pieces of sugar and 10 milliliters of milk, then the task becomes way easier. You know what to do, and my needs are better taken care of. So also the European Union, as I'm from Germany, I wanted to give you the definition of an official institution. And also here they say, they changed it now to AI system. Before it was only AI, but now they're referring to it as an AI system. And this means it's machine-based. We have again machine learning. That it is designed to operate with varying levels of autonomy. So it can operate autonomously based on its data. and that it may exhibit adaptiveness after deployment, and that for explicit or implicit objectives, and first from the input, again, the input is very important that it receives, and goal-oriented. You need to have a goal that it's working on to generate like a vast amount of outputs, which can be predictions, content, recommendations, even decisions that can influence our physical or the virtual environment. And as a first institution, the European Union drafted an AI Act and established an AI Act to regulate how, or to give some ground rules on how to use artificial intelligence. So there was again a commission formed, a task force, and they were providing a comprehensive legal framework on AI, for AI worldwide. I can also encourage you to, as lawyers, maybe as law students, to look inside this framework. I guess it's very interesting. But now I want to give you the basics of AI, and now I want to move forward to our scientific lecture. So now how we can use AI in the scientific process. Here I want to emphasize some tools, but again, there are like tools coming and going, so if you heard of other tools, that is also interesting. So maybe a little question to the students at this point. Like, who of you, maybe you can raise your hand, I can see it on the screen, and I heard that the professors will not judge you for it. So who of you uses right now, not right now, but in general, AI for their study purposes or their daily life? So maybe you can raise your hand if you're already using AI tools. Yeah, I can see, like, put it really high in the air because, like, the camera, but I can see there is a good amount of students, right? Yes. And who of you, like, who is using AI, who of you heard of the tools that you can see on this slide? Maybe you can raise your hand again if you heard of one of those tools you see on that slide. Some go up, yeah, but it's less, I guess. It's a bit less than before. So this is what I want to do. I want to introduce you to some tools that are specifically created with the help of AI, which are based on AI and who can help you. There's one tool, it's called Elicit, and also Consensus is like also close to it. It's about an AI tool for brainstorming research ideas. So you can find with it relevant papers, so you enter a research question, like you can do any research question, like I am right now focusing on sustainability, so I could ask them how is sustainability management performed in companies, and then it will go through the web and find me articles on this topic. Then Cite AI, I tested it recently and I was impressed how it changed. Like, it started with a tool that you use usually for quotations. So I'm entering a sentence that I have written and just want to check maybe what other articles could be there who talk about this topic, about this sentence, who I could use for quotation. But now it even writes you good sentences and includes quotation and citation. Of course, it does this in a general way, but as a starter, maybe to get starting, to acquire some literature, it's a really good tool, and the way the tool writes is also very humanized, very human-like. Then we have Research Rabbit. I call it as an AI library, so you can start integrating some literature, and then it will draw connections. It will say, oh, you like this literature? Well, this author also wrote this and this and this. And if you go into this topic, you can find this and this literature. So you can create your own digital library with the help of an AI tool. ChatPDF is really helpful if you want to work with a lot of PDF documents. You can upload the documents, and then it is like a chat assistant. You can write with chat PDF and ask the tool, what is written in this section, what are the research questions, can you give me a quick summary? So with this tool, you can, on a comprehensive way, in the same amount of time, can cope with more literature. So you can read more articles or get an overview of the articles way faster than before. And then Quillbot, this is a writing assistant. Right now, I'm thinking AI is not as good in writing for student purposes. For a mail, it's good. For maybe some basic sentences, it's also good. But if you want to write like really fundamental sentences, really grounded sentences based on your research field, it will lack of some deeper understanding. But Quillbot is very good. It is an AI-powered writing assistant. It has an integrated AI humanizer. It can reword and paraphrase for you, which is like really good for students who may be struggling with the writing, especially if you just need a motivation and input sentence. Quillbot can help and also proofread your work. Now I'm coming to the big players, and I guess a lot of students have heard of these tools. So, who of you is using ChatGPT? Who have heard of ChatGPT and is using it in their daily life? So maybe again, raise the hand. So I think like a lot of students, right? A lot of students, yeah. This is also why I want to focus on ChatGPT. So ChatGPT right now I would say is the mainstream tool. A lot of students, a lot of people know about it, and it is really good with creative and versatile tasks. And I think this is the main reason why people are using it, because it is so good in storytelling. It's a really good all-rounder and a really good brainstorming tool. And if I would have to give it a persona, I would say it's the best sales agent I ever met, because it always tells me that I'm right, that everyone else is wrong, and that the way I do things is perfect. And this is why you have to be a bit careful with ChatGPT, because of its big amount of creativity. So this is like also what were mentioned in the introduction, that AI tools are hallucinating. And ChatGPT is hallucinating a lot because it is so creative, and it not always takes the best answer to your prompt, to your question. Sometimes it also takes a very creative answer to challenge you. It makes it really great for storytelling, and you can do a lot with it. You can create agents with it because it is so creative. But the biggest strength is also one of the biggest weaknesses, because it starts hallucinating a lot. Then we have Gemini. Gemini, I think it's like a perfect addition for Google right now. It's great for creating images and videos. There's like VO3. So for content creation, it's really good. And also for project planning. So I feel like computer scientists would use it for coding. Right now, for studying purposes, I feel like it is not the best tool. But for studying purposes, I recommend Perplexity. Right now, if you have a PayPal account, you can get Perplexity for 1 year, the pro version for free. And the good thing about Perplexity is that it is focusing on accuracy and citation. So it checks big amount of information really fast, and all the answers that it gives you, they're based on sources. So it is great for literature reviews and verifying data or building up a reference base. It is not so good for storytelling and creative tasks, but it's very good for this research purposes. Claude, I heard a lot of computer scientists are using Claude. I also know why, because they are promoting it as the best coding model of the world, and it is really strong in long text conversations. And as I heard, it can make very nuanced arguments and sound like very humanized. Then we have Copilot, the AI from Microsoft. I recommend it to use it when you work a lot with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, because it is integrated in those tools and they can make your life easier. And then we have DeepSeek, the Chinese AI system, which is like very good in the free version. It's like very strongly like ChatGPT, for example. So it is also very good in exploratory research, but it has some problems with some unconventional, let's say, some unconventional Chinese topics. So there it has maybe a biased view on those things. But if you're not doing research in this field, then I think it can also be a very good AI tool to help you. So let's go into the research process. So now we heard about different AI tools, and now I want to connect them to each process of the scientific research process. And in the middle I put ChatGPT because I still find it the most versatile tool, the most creative tool, and the tool I guess most of the people are using right now. So the first thing you're starting with is finding a topic. So first you need to know what you want to write about, and there, yes, you can use ChatGPT, you can use also the other AI tools, the other big players, but some AI tools which are really good are elicit.org and consensus, because there you can enter the topic, maybe just a question like, is this a good topic? And then it will give you some articles already telling you why this is a good topic or where you can refine your idea. Then, moving on to the next phase is phrasing research question. If you know what you want to work on, you need to find a problem situation or a research question. And there we have a lot of tools besides ChatGPT, what I always recommend. You can use Perplexity, because this will give you a lot of base quotes, so you already have a little literature base on your research question. Elicit.org is also very good, again, because you can enter the research question and you will find research, so you know if your research question goes in the right direction. With Quillbot, you can maybe paraphrase your research question and make it sound more like used for academic purposes. And also with Claude, you have a humanized AI to maybe have a sparring partner to develop your research question. Then moving on, if you have your research question, you want to collect literature. I mentioned a lot of tools, so we have Consensus, we have elicit.org, we have Cite AI, Research Rabbit. Sorry, I see my camera has a little problem. And so for the literature review, you want tools who can create and find a lot of literature. So I also would try to put Perplexity here as also a very good research tool for finding literature. So, I'm giving you a short break to think about all of this, and I will try to make my camera work again. Then we are moving on to reading and understanding. Here I can recommend Perplexity again to find literature, to argue with the literature. Again, ChatGPT, because it is very creative. You have a good sparring partner in the way you need it. Research Rabbit for your AI library, ChatPDF for an AI chatbot, especially for PDF documents. And then you're moving on to the next phase, reasoning and critical thinking. And as a scientific researcher and also PhD student, I'm helping the professors a lot with the student works, like their dissertations and so on. And what I see is, you tell the students something and they always believe you. They always believe what you're telling them. And professors always complaining that students are not reasoning and critically thinking enough. And you can read this sometimes in the bachelor thesis, in the master thesis, and so on. And I feel like what was established with AI is that students need to think more critically about their input. If you ask something to ChatGPT, if you have no idea about your topic, ChatGPT also will have no idea about your topic, and the response you get will be in a bad quality. And also, as you know now, AI systems can hallucinate. So you need to check every information that the AI system is give you, and this will enhance the critical thinking. So this is something I feel like what AI tools brought us, that this reasoning and critical thinking can become better if students use those tools right. If you just accept everything what this AI tools tell you, then your critical thinking skills will get like lower. But if you use it to improve your critical thinking, to use them as sparring partners, to say like, hey, I'm right now at home, my professor is like not available right now, he's sleeping most probably in the middle of the night, but I want you to help me as a professor. I want you to tell me, is this a good topic, how I can improve. At this moment, students get a tool to start more or to work more on critical thinking. And then the next phase is writing and correcting. I mentioned already some of those tools, and this is something that I wanted to create here. It's a bit beside the scientific process. It's creative learning. Like, for example, you could tell ChatGPT that it should provide you all the notes in a gossiping tone. Like, this AI tools, they are very creative. So you could learn, or if you're a big fan of, let's say, Star Wars, you could say, help me learn those notes and create a story out of it in Star Wars. So I feel like we're giving students a lot of tools to creatively learn. So for example, as law students, you have to learn maybe a lot of paragraphs for your brain. You can make it more fun with those AI tools. You can think about new strategies to actually learn. This is why I included it. Okay. So this was a big amount of input, very general input for you. I hope it was good and okay and very informative for you what AI tools we have. So I encourage you, maybe after the lecture, enjoying the warm weather, maybe you look at which AI tools you can access, make some bookmarks in your browser so that you always find them again. And now I want to work with ChatGPT. As I saw already a lot of students working with ChatGPT, I always have to say the prompts that I'm using in the paid version, in the pro version. So the free version lacks a bit of accuracy and also about the way how it is thinking and so on. So the pro version is now a lot better than the free version, but still, depending always on how you use ChatGPT, it can be also very helpful in the free version. So, what does ChatGPT mean? ChatGPT is a generative pre-trained transformer. So, it is generating something for you based on your input. It generates an output. It is pre-trained, so everything that it will give you, the output comes from its training. So if the training is biased in a certain field, the output will be biased too. It is a transformer, so it is not a human being. The brain, it works like the brain, like you giving them an input, and then it transforms your input into code, looks in its database what matches with this code, and then it transforms this code into a logical output. But everything that it does is based on 0 and 1, so it's based on a code. And if you're using a word that it is not frequently used in its code, then it will also not give you this word. So sometimes as a student you want a specific buzzword or a specific word, a specific way of arguing. And this is something which ChatGPT right now cannot do, because it always transforms it into code, and this code needs to match the database, and then it gives you an output. But it becomes better with every day, because the database is also expanding, and with a good input strategy, you can also push ChatGPT in the right direction. So again, it uses deep learning techniques. So we have a neural network and we have machine learning algorithms behind it. very special is that ChatGPT used human feedback to make it sound more humanized. So in the way ChatGPT was chatting, like they were humans chatting to each other, so like there was a person asking a question and then it got a feedback by a human being and not by the AI tool. And the AI tool was learning how humans are communicating. It is using the transformer model. So you put an input, this input is decoded into code, and then based on the neural network architecture, processed in sequential data, and then it will transform this to an output. So every word that you read from ChatGPT, there is a probability behind it. There's an algorithm behind it that decides which word it will give you. Very special with ChatGPT is that the developers thought of a bit randomizing it. So sometimes ChatGPT will give you an answer that is not based on the highest probability, but even on the lowest probability, to challenge you, to make it more creative. This can lead to better answers because you're thinking about something that you never thought about before, but it also can lead to hallucinating. So here we have a language model which makes it sound very humanized. There's this so-called Turing test who was created by a computer scientist, and to see how good the AI system is, like how humanized the response of an AI system is, and ChatGPT is very good. It gets very high rankings in this test. So, but everything that you read here already is that ChatGPT tries to predict the words based on your inputs, so based on phrases and sentences that are the mostly associated with the input, and then it tries, at least tries some reasoning. But this reasoning right now is not as good as we think. So we right now tend to over-evaluate what ChatGPT can actually do. And this is why I want to make you understand that in the background there is a code work. I'm not a computer scientist. I'm just doing it on my perspective on students to use it for the scientific process. So this means if you give an input into ChatGPT, it needs to be well thought, and also you have to question the output a little bit. Like maybe recheck the output. If it uses some fancy sounding words, maybe just Google those words. Okay, and then it compares your input with billions of words, like a vast amount of database, like books, everything that it can find, but mostly what it can find in the internet. So if you're working on a topic where there's not much going on in the internet already, then the responses will be bad even if you have a great input. I remember when I gave this lecture in Kazakhstan, Professor Thomas said to me, well, in the law field we have to work with books that are in a library that are not scanned or that are not accessed through the internet, and this is a specific thing in law fields, and this is correct. In that moment the source is not in the internet, ChatGPT will not know about it. It may know that it exists somewhere in the library, but it will not know about the content. And what you can do now with the input is bring ChatGPT to at least tell you that this book exists, or make ChatGPT tell you that his answer or that the answer of ChatGPT is based on this and this literature. You want to know how this AI tool is working, to step behind it, to critically think how this AI tool is working. And what you can do now with ChatGPT is you can make scans, photos, upload it to ChatGPT and say like, in your response, please also scan through the photo that I sent to you. But this, again, makes the whole process longer. So you could also go to the library and read the book by yourself, or you go into the library, make a photo and send it to ChatGPT. Like the time saving gets less. So and we want to use, as I mentioned, ChatGPT in an efficient way. So if you don't understand the page you're reading, ChatGPT is your perfect tool. But in that moment, as you're making yourself more work than you actually have to do when you just read it yourself, maybe don't use ChatGPT. Use it for another task. And right now we have it is still based on some estimations, so this is not a verified source from OpenAI itself, but experts say that it should be now 281 terabyte of data, which is enormously, because we're talking here about words which are usually a little bit of bytes. There is a minor amount of bytes, so that ChatGPT is like referring to. You notice when you're writing a paper at the end, it's maybe 1 megabyte big, and it's 20 pages or 50 pages of a paper. So the database GPT-5 right now, the latest model has, is enormous. This is crazy. Okay, so now, after all these technical discussions, I want to show you how to create good prompts. So I'm doing these workshops and lectures now since 2 years, and I was collecting always updates on how to do good prompts. So these are strategies, all strategies that I could find, what experts are saying, what I could find in training videos, in training blog posts from OpenAI itself, from other AI tools, and what they all agree on is that you have to offer first a context. You have to give ChatGPT, for example, a background. You have to tell ChatGPT what is the background of the task, to restrain these endless possibilities. Like my example with get me a coffee. No, you need, if you give him a context, it will bring you a better coffee. If you make him to a persona, this is the strength of ChatGPT. It is very creative. So you can work with different persona, and this will actually change the way how ChatGPT responds. If I say like to ChatGPT, hey bro, how's your day going? Then ChatGPT will immediately respond in the same slang. And if I say like, hello dear Professor ChatGPT, honorary professor, can I ask you a humble question? ChatGPT will step into this role and will respond to you. And you can say to ChatGPT, you're a professor with 20 years of experience in law. You know a lot of law regulation in Indonesia, for example. And this restrains the perspective and how ChatGPT will interact with you. Then a concrete task. This is like the heart of your whole prompt. There's something you want to achieve. So you need to think about, is it a simple task? Is it a multi-layer task? Am I starting maybe like giving him a little appetizer first, a little appetizer task, and then I will move on with some more advanced tasks? This is something you have to try by yourself. You have to work a little bit with ChatGPT to get a feeling which tasks are good. Then some new recommendations is to give him a warning, like for example, make it more precise. Don't go into this field, or please focus on this field. Then also give him some steps how to complete the task. Like step 1, do this. Step 2, scan the literature. Step 3, tell me the research questions of the literature you scanned. Like make the output more specific. Then the output format. Do you want an email? Do you want bullet points? Do you want a table? A figure? Do you want text? How is the text designed? This is why I also recommend students, like if you want ChatGPT to write a sentence, then you have to think about how you would write a sentence. So maybe get a book on writing, and then you will see, okay, writing a sentence is based on an argument, a phrase, a thesis, and then you can tell ChatGPT, okay, if you write the sentence, please start first with an argument, then provide an example, and then provide a source. And this will make the sentences of ChatGPT way better. Why? Because you also understand how a perfect sentence or how a good academic sentence is structured. Maybe I'm disappointing now some students who were thinking, oh, I can just use ChatGPT to outsource some work. But if you want a quality response, if you want to go the extra mile, to have a better response than other people, then think about how you would write this sentence. How would a good sentence look like? And tell it ChatGPT, and then prove if this is a good sentence. And this will train you and ChatGPT. Then, when you interact with ChatGPT, because it is a very creative tool, interact with it in its role, like with a colleague or the specific role you want from ChatGPT. Build on previous prompts and also use it as a brainstorming tool to come up with prompts. Usually all my big important prompts that I created together with ChatGPT, because this is really good. ChatGPT is very creative and can create good prompts. And then also review and rate good prompts, then it will use these prompts more. And there are also some prompting strategies, like we call it chain of thought prompting. I feel like it is very good in the law field, so I will tell you how to use chain of thought prompting. And also make it reread the question, like tell him, like your human brain, tell ChatGPT, after you read my prompt or after you read my question, read it again, or read this part of the prompt again, and then give me an answer. So, here are some examples for good context. So, you want to define the background information which is necessary to make the AI model understand setting, topic, purpose of the task. So, you're not saying like, please write me an article. No, you say like, for example, this task concerns summarizing peer-reviewed academic articles in the field of law, digital health, sustainability, whatever. And these summaries will be used by doctoral students during a research seminar. We have a good context now. Research seminar, what is like already a hint, what is the task? You have to peer review academic articles and so on. What is your persona? We're giving him a role. You're a senior academic research assistant with expertise in reading and summarizing scientific articles, for example. You give ChatGPT now the task. Read the provided articles and generate an informative academic summary. So here I'm also adding what academic summary I want to have. So I need to know what academic summaries exist. There can be informative academic summaries, or maybe just a brief academic summary, or maybe just maybe I just want a sentence that summarizes the whole paper. It depends on my understanding of what I want to do. And ChatGPT can be pushed a bit more in your direction if you give ChatGPT a concrete example. So if you say like, here, this is a text I already wrote, analyze this text and structure your answer based on my text. Or here, for example, under key finding, use bullet points like, and then I'm showing him how I want this bullet point to look like. Then, output format. What do I want? Headings, paragraphs. So here I say, structure it in using subheadings, research questions, key findings, conclusion, and provide detailed bullet points under each of these subheadings. Include also the page numbers, because I want to make myself able to check the answer of ChatGPT. So this is what I want to encourage students. When you work with ChatGPT, make ChatGPT check it by telling him, okay, tell me this page numbers. Then you can go to the page number and check if the answer of ChatGPT is correct. Give me a quote from this page. Then you can also check if ChatGPT actually read this page, because it gave you a quote from this page. And you already get a feeling, okay, this quote doesn't match the subheading, this is not a research question, and you know that ChatGPT is moving in the wrong direction. Then, this is something new, some new recommendations like warning, giving some warnings to ChatGPT, clarify your expectations, set some boundaries to improve precision, like do not generalize or summarize greatly and so on. Then you can also ask about the tone, like use academic language, use academic language in the law field, and so on. These are some additional prompting principles. They are not always necessary to create a prompt. So like, I heard that ChatGPT works better if you give ChatGPT do's and not don'ts, but usually I also tend to give him more don'ts than actually do's. So like, do not try to be overly clever or vague. The more specific and direct your prompt is, the better the model will perform. Like here, an example, summarize the key findings and cite specific page numbers. This, so experts say, is better than to say like, for example, don't do like give me a general idea and so on. So I already took this point, like, so focus on what to do, like be very precise, clever, not very vague, and tell ChatGPT like use bullet points. And it's better like when you put like don't write in a vague or casual style, it's better to tell ChatGPT how you want it, like use bullet points, summarize, and so on. I mean, you could add this don't here, that's up to you, but this is like, again, what experts are recommending is like use more do's than you use don'ts. And this will help the model to understand exactly what is expected and increase the chance to get a better output. So all we can do right now is increase the quality of our output. What I also found recently, which was also given by OpenAI in a statement, is be persistent. Like add some phrases like this: keep going until the task is completely solved before ending your turn. This prompt specifically focus on the new model, GPT-5. So now we're using GPT-5's thinking model of thinking longer than usual. Then also use your tools, do not guess. So if you are unsure about code or files, open them and scan them intensively and do not hallucinate. It will not stop hallucinating, but it will focus more on PDF, on the PDF file. This is what we want to achieve. Then plan, then reflect. So plan thoroughly before every tool call and reflect on the outcome after. So you want to make ChatGPT reflect its answers more. So this is now, I want to show you the prompt that I used for the introduction. So first, I was chatting a little bit with ChatGPT. I wanted to know some information about Indonesia, like to warm up ChatGPT. You don't have to do this every time, but I wanted to do it right, so I warmed ChatGPT up a little bit. Then I gave ChatGPT a context. I told ChatGPT that I'm a PhD student at the Kazakh American Free University in a cooperative PhD program with Zwickau, and that I will, this is like even more important, conduct a lecture for Indonesian university students, like in a framework of 2 hours, on AI in science. The workshop will demonstrate how to use and so on. So I gave him like this context that we are in right now. Then I already give like part of the task. I said, this is the situation I'm in. Please help me to translate the welcome speech I will provide into the Indonesian language. Then I created the persona. So I said, you're a young male Indonesian PhD student who speaks Indonesian fluently. So I also wanted ChatGPT to make it more on a student basis and not on a professor basis. And then make it clear and engaging for students. And now there comes the task. Then I added a prompting strategy, like, did you understand what you have to do? Make it reflect again. So, and for the last part of today, we are also reaching the end of the first hour. I want to focus on chain of thought prompting. So I gave you a bigger file with more prompts, with more tasks you can try at home. You can also write me a mail if you want to have some feedback. Maybe I cannot answer always right away, but I will try to answer you. So if you want to know something, I can help you. But right now, for the law field, I feel like chain of thought prompting is very interesting because it helps you to understand how ChatGPT is working, and especially in law field, where you have to be very maybe I would do it from my perspective, very accurate, and you have to know about a lot of laws maybe and how they're interconnected. It can help you also in your thinking, and you can use ChatGPT as a sparring partner. It will not replace the work that you have to do, but it can help you in your thinking process. So this is why chain of thought prompting, the goal is to make the AI tell you how it is working, which it is checking right now, which sources it is checking, how is it proceeding. So we are decomposing a multi-step problem, interconnected problem, into lighter, easier, intermediate steps. So we're giving now a prompt, a step-by-step prompt to help the AI work on it. So now we provide an interpretable reasoning process, making it possible to see how the model reached to its answer, so that we can start thinking critically, is this a good answer? Is this a good process? Can I work with this answer? Then COT means chain of thought prompting. Then we can give more wide range of tasks, which I feel we need in the law field, because we're working with a lot of regulations, a lot of different regulations, so we can upload PDF files. And now we have to structure the way ChatGPT thinks to get better output. So we want to make a common sense for reasoning, and also hinder it to manipulate data and to limit the hallucination. So, like large language models, like ChatGPT can perform COT reasoning when we give the ChatGPT a step-by-step reasoning included in the prompt. And also, chain of thought prompting can help transform the answers into a step-by-step solution like process. And this gets closer to human reasoning. And right now, AI tools lack in the reasoning, but with chain of thought prompting, we can increase the quality of our output. So what I did was I created a little law agent, an agent that should help us work with the Constitution of the Republic of Indonesia. So I'm not a law student, so I don't know a lot about law, but I wanted to have a consultant that supports me. So what I did was I gave a context, I gave a persona, I gave a concrete task, a concrete example, and an output format. I also included a warning to establish some anti-hallucination rules. I gave them the tone, and I also used the additional prompting principles. The result, I want you to check at home. Like here you can find the Indonesian constitution, and also here you can find like the prompt and some of its results. So as today we have limited amount of time, if we have some time after the question round, I can show you this prompt, what I did, but otherwise I encourage you to read it at first. Then choose relevant databases or platforms, then apply search filters, analyze search results, evaluate the quality of the sources, summarize the literature, and give me some next steps. And this is all like the usually steps in literature review, and I want to do them with the help of ChatGPT. And in the end, some prompts, I added some prompts for you for critical thinking and reasoning, because in my perspective it is very important. So here you can tell ChatGPT to become your 24/7 professor, your 24/7 sparring partner, and tell ChatGPT, use the Socratic method, like critical thinking method, to improve my critical thinking, and give me then some logic and reasoning skills. And here's a more advanced prompt, like about some statement discussing whether ChatGPT should be banned in universities. Imagine you're my professor, that's the role. prompt me for an answer first. So here you can see with ChatGPT you can create also a sparring partner that is not giving you the answer right away. So you can tell here each reply from you should contain only one way to improve my paragraph. So we can, as students, limit ourselves, and also lecturers can use these prompts to help students think critically without letting ChatGPT do all the work. So each answer you give should be no longer than 5 sentences. So we are limiting ChatGPT for training ourselves, for still using our brain. And you answer by asking me to make a change and rewrite my piece of writing. Like especially if you have problems with writing, if it is a really nice day and you want to lay at the beach, then yeah, this can motivate you to think critically. This can motivate you to start writing and write your daily half a page or your daily 1 page, and you will be surprised how easy it will become with this. Repeat this until the section of the text is complete. A complete paragraph includes hypotheses, arguments, and counter-arguments. Also, help me to improve my style of grammar and reasoning. Here you can see some output. So I was really lazy today. I was like telling, first, what's your initial answer to the question? Should ChatGPT be banned in universities? And I just gave him the answer, no. I feel like ChatGPT should not be banned in the university. I just said no, because I was feeling so lazy. And ChatGPT, that was the original answer. That's a start. But it's only a single word. To develop it into a full paragraph, you need to state your position as a hypothesis. Something like a clear sentence that expresses why you think ChatGPT should not be banned in universities, and so on. Try writing 1 or 2 sentences. So, okay, now it's helping me. Now I at least know where to start. I can say, okay, now it helps students to improve the quality of their work, and human-machine interactions are necessary today in the framework of Industry 5.0. This is progress. So still very lazy, still not a good sentence, but I keep rolling. I got from no to this. Then it got like again, great, you've introduced your position and the reason, but let's improve the clarity and flow. Yeah, you can see here there's no flow in the way I write. And here it's giving me now some help. Try rewriting like this. Start with a clear sentence that says, ChatGPT should not be banned in universities because. So I have to find the reason, but ChatGPT pushes me in the right direction, and I could go on now with ChatGPT, and I feel like this makes it also a bit more fun to write a sentence, because you're writing to ChatGPT, it gives you an answer, you're rewriting it, and at the end of your chat you can also say, okay, now ChatGPT, please, at the end of our chat, please give me the paragraph that we developed together. Okay, to finish my task for today, AI can be a good tool. I also told you I have some limitations and that you always should question the responses of AI. It will increase, we will have more AI laws. The EU stepped forward showing already an AI Act. So AI literacy will become a very important topic. The way how we will generate data and transfer data will change, teaching will change, how students will work will change, how AI is analyzing will become more impressive, more advanced. Also the generation of media content will become an issue, because again, it is based on training data. So if AI is creating something, it is including the work of someone else. Now you could say, okay, if a human is drawing something, maybe the human also is orienting himself by an idea, but there's also a lot of content which is generated by humans itself, and AI is usually based on training data. So I was watching recently a movie, and there was even written inside of this movie that this movie should not be used as a training purpose of AI. So this is what we also will deal with in the future, that maybe we will publish something and we'll say this article should not be included in an AI database. So there is a huge need for AI literacy, And this worked like even half year ago, it still worked. If I asked ChatGPT how many R's are in raspberry, the answer was the word raspberry has 2 R's. And as you can clearly see here, it has 3 R's, and even half a year ago it still worked like this. Maybe now it is fixed, and the reason why it is giving you 3 R's is because it takes raspberry and puts a code out of raspberry. So it has a code for rasp and a code for maybe berry, and then it puts both together and matches it with its database, like a question. So how many? Okay, the database will give back. You need to do a calculation of the letter R, and then it takes the word raspberry. But here somewhere in raspberry, the way how it is coding is a bit strange. So at one point, raspberry is coded only with 2 R's, and that's why it is responsive. The response is 2 R's, and ChatGPT is not wrong. For ChatGPT, it is correct because it decoded the word and it could find only 2 R's in its code. So ChatGPT thinks it is right, but what you can see, and based on your understanding, you know it is wrong. So the answer that ChatGPT gives you is based on its code. And when the code has a problem, or if your question was not unprecise enough, then ChatGPT will not answer correctly. For example, if we put like minuses between each letter, ChatGPT will give you the correct answer that raspberry has 3 R's, because then the code changes. The way it is decoding will change. So okay, I know this was a lot of input, and I think we have now a lot of time for your questions, and I'm ready to answer them.
Okay, thank you very much, Stefan. That was quite a big presentation, a lot what we learned. I have used ChatGPT too, but never in the way you told us. Has anyone of you used it in that way so far? So, what we see is that you can achieve a lot by using artificial intelligence tools, at the moment in particular ChatGPT, but you need to work on that. So you can use ChatGPT for literature research, which is very helpful when you write a course paper or the bachelor thesis or the master thesis. You can use it for reasoning and critical thinking, more to control. You can use it as a coach for personal training. I did not know that. I did not have the idea that that could be possible. So there is a lot what we can do, but you need to do it in a smart way. I think if you really want to recapitalize what this lecture meant to you, you need to study the presentation once more very, very carefully. And Stefan has prepared on some exercises for you, some tasks, and some solutions. You can download that on the website, okay? I would like to invite you to do that, and also I would like to invite you to download his Indonesian constitutional law coach. When you see what he extracted from the text of the constitution I sent him, that was all, and he gave some orders to ChatGPT, and that was the result, what he got as a non-lawyer. It's a little bit worrying already, what is possible. So, it is possible to achieve a lot, but you need to work on that. If you don't do that, you will often get bad quality. Well, we will have some time, maybe half an hour to 40 minutes for questions and discussions. I have a couple of questions too, but I would first like to ask you to come up with questions. Who has questions? Who has the microphone? Can you pass it, please? Maybe you can go. Okay. And switch it on, then it works. There are more. Oh, that's good. Okay. Yes?
Thank you for the presentation. My question is like, if I would say, like, taking into consideration as a law student and wanted to be a lawyer, my question is like, lawyers usually, we don't use most of the resources from the internet, or we can say like most of our resources we depend on the books and the laws that are printed, but sometimes those books are not published, maybe online. So my question is like, sorry, before that question, yes, I understand that the AI is a broad thing that it can generate whatever information you want. But then my question is like, for example, I study this book, I don't understand it. How relevant is that in terms of how AI can provide me with an information from that book, which is not gonna be kind of like not out of context, but my idea here is because that book was not published, it was not online. How is that AI gonna provide me the how could I say it? Like, how could the AI provide me with the relevant information with regards to that book? Yes. Thank you.
Okay. You would like to answer immediately?
Yes, I can answer immediately. We can. Yeah, I think it's a good question to answer immediately. So one thing is, if you already have this book, like if it's physical, or if you have maybe the electronic version of it, but it's not listed now on the internet, you can upload it, of course, to ChatGPT, and then you have to create the prompt that it is focusing on this file. Some recommendations are it works easier with PDF files, so than with Word files, with Word documents. So, and another thing is that ChatGPT will try to start hallucinating, that it will find some other sources in the internet. So you have to create the prompt to focus more on the PDF file. So the first step I would do is like the way you asked me the question. I would now create a prompt for ChatGPT, because I feel like it is an important question for you. You always have to think about how important is it to use the AI in this moment. So if it's very important, you can take your question like you just phrased it now, and then add some prompting strategies that you know from my presentation, and tell ChatGPT to create a prompt. And that this prompt should really focus on this scanned PDF file, and that it not should like include sources from the internet, but in the first step only focus on this PDF file that you will upload. And this is how you can at least limit the hallucination and get more responses to your file. But in some way we have to make it digital and available for ChatGPT. So take a photo, make a scan, or have an electronic version. The other way is, of course, that you can use ChatGPT more generally. So you can say, have a physical book about law in front of you, and that you are trying to understand this book. So you could start basically and ask ChatGPT if ChatGPT knows some established learning strategy for law students that face similar problems like I do right now. Then ChatGPT will strategies, and maybe there will be already one that can help you, and then based on the strategy you can turn ChatGPT in a buddy, in a colleague who is working with you together. So then you can say, I read in this book a specific law I don't know about. Maybe you can do a research in the internet and help me about this. Again, this will take a bit more time, because now you need to think about how you're phrasing your questions to ChatGPT. There will be some questions you can just like say them because you want to have a general answer, but there will be some questions where you actually have to think about context, persona, task, and maybe provide an example. So I think like at this moment where you especially want to search for a specific law, just writing one sentence, search for that law, explaining what it is, will not help you enough. I feel like at this moment you already need an advanced prompt where you maybe also ask ChatGPT to act as a professor in a certain way and maybe focus the search on peer-reviewed articles and maybe make even a two-step process, like find some news about the laws, find some peer-reviewed articles, and then maybe even get creative, and when ChatGPT gives you an answer, you could say, please rewrite this answer as you would explain it to a student who never heard about law in general. So these were maybe like some strategies how you can work with ChatGPT if ChatGPT doesn't know this specific article in this moment.
Thank you. Well, you see, this is still a problem. So usually you would need to provide a copy of that book and upload as PDF. But the problem is that that book may not be available in Indonesia. Then that will not help, right? Well, other questions? Yes, please? Yes. Oh, we need to switch on.
Yes. Okay, I hope I'm audible. I would like to introduce myself first. Greetings, my name is Nigel. I'm a first year law student here, and I would like to express my thanks for you, sir, for the wonderful lecture on this afternoon. What I would like to ask is something that has been a popular discourse for a while as AI advances. I'll go straight forward. If we keep using AI, and especially in our academic life and research and stuff, if we keep using that, won't humans eventually be out of touch with their organic thinking skills? Okay, I think I'll explain this further. Yes, we should embrace technology, but I do think we're putting ourselves in danger. I do not condemn the usage of AI. Honestly, I utilize AI in my life as a student as well, although not in excessive extent. What I want to say is, yes, AI is very useful for research, but I do think it kind of eliminates the essence of research itself. What it eliminates is, research is not only about producing our written research itself, producing the product of our research. One of the important things that we learn in research is how we solve those problems ourselves with our human thinking skills, and how do we differentiate what is needed and what is not needed in our research. And if we utilize AI for that, like you have explained earlier that we can ask AI, we could use all of those prompts to ask AI and get what we want directly. Like we could ask the AI to do the task of differentiating what information is needed and what is not. Then therefore that task that is usually done by the human brain itself is delegated for the AI to do. And next thing I would like to highlight is that it was explained, I think it was explained earlier in the lecture, that we can utilize AI for critical thinking. Now I would like to ask again, is it really critical thinking if we need the help of another brain, an artificial brain, to do the fundamental thinking itself, is it really critical thinking if we don't do, we need the help of a second brain, which is AI itself? And then next thing is that it was said that AI can create a chain of thought resembling human reasoning. Why do we have to ask AI to resemble human reasoning? Why can't we do that human reasoning why can't we do that human reasoning itself ourselves? So I think I sincerely apologize if I have prolonged my question. So I think that, to put it in a sentence, humans risk losing their sovereignty over their own intellect by the excessive use of AI. Now, I would like to ask that's why I would like to ask an expert's opinion about that. Thank you very much in advance.
Yeah, thank you for your question. I think, Stefan, I would like to give that to you also immediately for the answer, because it's quite a serious topic. Will the regular use of AI affect our own thinking capabilities? I think there is maybe some point, because every research you do, in particular every research a student does, is not for the research itself, it's mainly for training research. So every research you do yourself serves not only to get the research result, but also to do the training. But if I understood you correctly, Stefan, you can also use AI as a coach even to train your critical thinking. So that may be a counter argument. It will be interesting what you say about her ideas.
Yes, yeah, thank you very much for this intensive question. Yeah, and I feel like it also addresses some concerns that students have. I am just like sorting my thoughts, because I made like now so many examples about it, and I'm thinking how to answer, how to put it in a good answer. So maybe first thing is about the last statement that was mentioned about the reasoning. Why do we want to get the artificial intelligence to reason like humans, when the humans are doing the reasoning? So as with every tool, like let's think back with Excel, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint. As with every tool, the first thing is like it should make your daily life easier. And if you think about Excel, I don't know when there was the last time I used a calculator. I usually just open Excel and use Excel for the mathematics, and I don't know, when I write something on the board, I really miss the autocorrection of Word. So yeah, the technology affects the way we are interacting. When I write a message on my phone, I sometimes only click the words that the phone is suggesting to me. And it makes my life a lot easier. And in some ways, yeah, when I'm standing on the board, in this moment, I maybe forget how the word is written, because my phone corrected it for me all the time. And in this moment, but what I want from my phone is to correct it correctly. Like, if I want the correction on my phone, I want that, or from Word, I want that Word correct my article better than I could do it myself. Like, I want an actual help from Word there, and not to make it worse. And the same is with reasoning. What we right now see is that the reasoning of AI is not as good as we want it to be. And what is really good is human reasoning. So the whole point of using AI is to get it closer to human reasoning, or maybe even exceed the way humans reason. But the way of training artificial intelligence is to get a human intelligence. So this is the main goal of all the AI companies right now. We want a tool that makes our life easier, and human reasoning is like the way we want to argue AI. This is what we want to make AI, what we want to have AI become. The same like Excel, Word, PowerPoint as some early examples. And basing on this, I understand the concerns, and there were some really interesting points that also made me thinking. Will we as humans lose then our ability to think critically? For example, as we're using the AI, I think that's a yes and no question. Like I mentioned with accent and word, and the autocorrection on my phone, it helps me a lot. It changes the way I'm thinking, but with every technology, we always should have a goal while we're using this technology. And at some point, I would even say that the autocorrection on my phone makes more troubles than it actually helps me. And that I need to focus more how my phone does an autocorrection than it's actually useful. And the same will be with AI, but on a bigger scale, on a larger scale, right now, I think we need AI. So we started first with gathering a lot of information. So we were coming at a point where we needed more information to make decisions. I'm arguing now as the perspective of an accountant, what my research field is. So we came to a point where we needed to make better decisions. The whole point companies, they always have is profit maximization. They need to get profits to keep the thing rolling, to keep the company rolling. And in our nowadays world, they become so complex that you need more information. A supply chain problem in China can affect my business here in a small city like Zwickau. We have Volkswagen here, and if there's something happening even in Indonesia, for example, it can affect my work in Zwickau. So our world became more interconnected and complex, and we need more information. And then we were looking for ways to cope with this information, so we use data analytics tools. And now we have those data analytics tools, but we cannot get them to reasoning. Now we can collect all this information and we have them in a really big database, and even the databases of companies are exceeding, and no one knows any longer which file is where, do we have this information, and so on. So it is now the next logical step to have a chatbot, an assistant who helps you to cope, to come up with solutions. Like even in medicine and mathematics, we are reaching points where the human brain, where humans working together cannot longer alone manage to cope with these problems. And this is why AI was developed. This is an initial reasoning for AI, where AI helps us. Like this was the bigger picture. Now as a student, like I remember my time as a student, there was an amount of literature. For my master thesis, I used over 100 different publications in my literature, and my professor said this is slightly above average what I did, and I had 100 publications included. And the more we're going like on, there's more and more literature, more and more articles that students need to know about, students need to read. There are more regulations, and they get interconnected, and it becomes harder for students to cope with it. And this is why AI can help, if it's used correctly, to focus, do part of the work. And now there comes an important point. This is why I'm doing this lecture, is because I see students are struggling, students have problem with critical thinking. Like if I tell a student something, I tell the student the sky is yellow, then the student will look and believe me, and then the student goes home and thinks, no, actually, the sky is not yellow, it's blue. What did the professor meant by telling me the sky is yellow? So, but in the first way, students believe what they see, what they read, and now we have so many articles, and students collect this information like a sponge, but they need to assert it, cope with it. And I think it's even harder nowadays than it was like 10 years ago for students. And I also see that students need to be trained a bit more with critically thinking, not take like the first source of information as granted, but also take a second and a third and a fourth, and then it becomes more complex. But now you know 4 sources in your head, and you need to cope with your thoughts. And this is something students train, and AI can make this process easier. for students, but never, right now, I don't think replace the human initiation. And this is why always at the beginning there is an input by a human, which I ask the AI. And I want to get students in this direction, that they think about the input and then later about the output. And in this moment, you're engaging with someone. And this is maybe another problem. People become more and more isolated. We have more people in this world, but because of TikTok, Instagram, all this digital influence, and also we have more work to do. I still believe that because of this digitalization, we have more work to do, and we are also isolating ourselves. They're like, maybe it's not as critical in Indonesia, but in Germany I notice it a lot. We have small families. You have a little group of friends. Right now I'm sitting alone in my office and I will be the whole day alone, but I need to do creative tasks. So I need someone to talk to, someone which is always available, and in this position now the AI steps in, because I cannot always call my colleagues. When I call my colleagues, I have to introduce the topic to them, and so on and so on. So right now it becomes easier for us humans to use AI, and I think this is why we need to make, what also you mentioned, we need to still foster creativity. We need to use the time that we are winning by using AI, this more free time. We need to challenge it, to channel it into then creative tasks. Like you can go storytelling with some groups to train your brain in being more creative. And this is what I want to encourage students, is on the one side, how you use AI correctly, and then with the safe time, because you don't have to do the literature review completely by yourself, because you don't need to do the paraphrasing for easy tasks yourself, because you have a coach that helps you understand a law, because you have a coach that can help you create knowledge or learn things easier, like with a sparring partner and so on. Because you have all this, you will, in the end, this is why you use ChatGPT, save some time. And this time that we are saving now, we need to train students to put it in the important tasks. And this is actually reading the article. This is sitting down, reading and understanding. This is thinking critically about the answers that I receive and what I want. This is thinking about the goals that I want to do with this task. This is thinking about, why am I doing this research? Why is it important? So this is like the safe time we have. We should not put only in sitting at the beach, for example. We should also put in our research task. And I know this is hard, and this is also something that students need to learn nowadays, that if they have safe time, that they're not starting the next task immediately, but that they're using this time to improve the quality of the current work. Because again, if you were not using AI, you had to maybe work longer and harder on your article that you need to write, but because of AI, you can save maybe 10 or 20%. I don't have any statistics, but maybe you can even get it to 30%. So the question now is, what are you doing with this 30% that you have saved? Maybe you can look for another article. Maybe you can integrate another chapter, because you have now more time. And I feel like this will, if you use it correctly, this is why I'm doing these trainings, will help you to use this time in the things that really matter to you, like reasoning, maybe thinking about why it is important, and maybe in the end also have a bit more hours with your friends. Yeah, that's maybe a very long answer to this complex question.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. I think we see quite some line also in your presentation already, that AI is good as a tool and maybe as an assistant, and maybe even as a coach, but not the only coach, one of several coaches to train you, but never as a replacement. But the problem is, of course, that many people already now, they use AI as a replacement. So you hear even the stories that they try to replace the boyfriend or girlfriend because they have a partner who is always friendly with them. So the risk is always there. I think, dear colleague, that the topic you talked about, that will be insensitive issue, and there will be big of the discussion about that for the next decades. But you can use AI also to get more time to focus on the more important thing, and for example, to focus on thinking, to do literature research, to look for articles which talk about your topic. That is not a sophisticated work. This is just a stereotype work which takes a lot of time. If you can use AI to do that, and then you have more time for your own critical reflection, then it might be even helpful. So I think the discussion will still be quite complex about that, and very interesting. Now, more questions. We have maybe still 10 minutes. Yes, please. Oh. Can you give the microphone, please?
Thank you. Good afternoon. I would like to ask, because in law school we often do comparative law research, and since coming to Indonesia, I'm from Latin America, and since coming to Indonesia, when I want to do some comparative research, I find that the information of my country is blocked. So I think the blocks happen because of some security restrictions, because I'm a little far. So my question is, if AI, ChatGPT or others are trained with information regardless of these blocks that happen because of security issues, transnational security issues or cyber security issues, and if AI maybe could be a way that I could bypass these blocks, because if maybe one country has them, maybe another country also has them, and some information is just really not accessible from a normal search engine.
Thank you. That might also be a quite interesting question, Stefan, because the information access is quite different from country to country, and it's not always that it's blocked in Indonesia. I'm confronted with this problem too. It's often blocked from other countries because they think you might be some hacker or somewhere. So the question is, can the artificial intelligence chatbot circumvent that blockages, or are they blocked too?
Yeah, that is actually a great question, and I think this question also belongs a bit more to a computer scientist to know how these AI tools are developed. But from my user perspective and how I engaged with the topic, it on paper, on theory, it should bypass this block, because the training base, what is it trained on, this is used by the company. This is the training data of the company on their servers, and I have not heard that OpenAI makes country-specific restriction. I think this is not the mission and vision of OpenAI. Speaking of ChatGPT, they want share this information and the training spaces, so they're collecting all the news, all the ChatGPT can find, and they're not like Netflix. For example, I think Netflix is a famous example, like when you're in a different country, you have access to different series and movies, so they are restricting it according to laws. But ChatGPT, as far as I know right now, is not restricting the content to specific countries. Maybe in the future, if there will be laws coming, that some countries will say, no, we don't want ChatGPT to give this answer. And this is what I said with DeepSeek. For example, DeepSeek has a different training basis, and it is maybe a bit biased according to specific historical events that happened because the training data was at this purpose, or it will maybe tell you, I cannot give you an answer to this topic because I'm not allowed to give you this answer. So right now, on paper, on theory, I would say no. The ChatGPT will find it, but if you can access this information, it's another question. So if ChatGPT tells you, oh, by the way, there is an article talking about the situation in Latin America, and then you want to access this article, and then it could say, sorry, this page was not found because you're in another country. And I guess then you have to use like some sort of VPN services, but that's another topic.
Okay. Thank you, Stefan. One more question? Yes, please.
Sorry, sir, I want to ask in short, why? So if we see that the usage of AI itself among the students and even in the top university in Indonesia is using it as a replacement for their work rather than an assistant, why the, so in summary, why the company that made AI doesn't make a restriction to make AI to be used as a assistant rather than a replacement, just like you said? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Also, is this possible to make such a restriction, Stefan? Maybe that's interesting.
As I said, I haven't had an interview with, for example, the company OpenAI or with the developers behind DeepSeek, but I strongly believe that humans, this is maybe part of my personal research, that humans do not bad things on purpose. Like there is a reason, there is a mission behind the company of OpenAI, a mission statement, a vision. There are values behind the company, and I feel like there is a person who's really good in developing AI algorithms and who had a major idea how to use AI and how to get it to the next level. And this is why, in my perspective, AI is still a tool that we're using. And if you're using a tool, it always depends on the user. So there will be users who use AI as a replacement for someone. There will be CEOs in a company who will think about saving money by replacing jobs with AIs. And there will be also CEOs in the company who will think of AI as an assistant and who will pay you more money when you will be able to use an AI system. There will be every variance when you acquire a tool. The same as what we can see with every technology that comes into our earth. There will be some jobs replaced by it, and there will be some new jobs created by it. In general, the economic profits are always increasing in our system. So I don't think that AI wanted to create an assistant. OpenAI wanted to create an assistant. OpenAI wanted to create or do research on AI, and then it were the humans, like us, the users, who create AI how we need it, like as an assistant, as an agent, or in some cases also as an replacement. And this is also why I like ChatGPT. It gives you a lot of freedom how you use it. Like you can even go in the settings of ChatGPT. I haven't covered it in my lecture, but even in the settings of ChatGPT, you can change how a ChatGPT responds to you. You can insert let's say a main prompt, a standard prompt, that you say like, okay, give me basic answers. Please here step over all this, like, hello, thank you for asking me. This could be a solution, like just give me clear answers without all this surrounding things. This is what you can do, for example, with ChatGPT. But in the data of ChatGPT and in the basic development, there are limitations how ChatGPT is responding to you, and it will always have a certain pattern that it is doing. Right now, at this stage, it is like this, so it acts always a bit more as an assistant to help you, and we as users, we're driving this assisting further to even replacing some work. I don't think it was intentionally meant by OpenAI. They wanted to create a useful tool, but every one of us has different use cases while we're using this tool.
Yeah, that's what's happening there. By the way, maybe interesting in this context, I spoke with a friend last weekend who is the manager of the software branch, and he said they are not using AI tools a lot for software development because they are too much afraid that the answers they get, if they use them, they would violate some copyrights because they don't know where the AI got that idea from. So they are very much afraid that if they use the proposals of the AI, they might violate copyright of somebody they don't know, and then they might be sued. Do you think that in science that risk could also exist? That you copy something and later it turns out the answer has taken from somewhere without giving you any hint, and then it turns out that it's plagiarism, but you don't know?
Well, yes, absolutely. This is why I always like right now, I'm like, students, please use AI. On the one side, if they use AI and they use it correctly, I will get an article which has like a good quality, and I can read something which is nice and which I enjoy reading. On the contrary, they're using AI wrong, and I will read an article, and even if I cannot tell that it was written by AI, I can tell that it's a bad article. And the same is when you use AI for science and the prompt, like I said, you don't let ChatGPT, for example, give you the sources that it is using, and you're not stepping behind, then some of these mistakes could happen. The ChatGPT is writing a sentence to satisfy you as the person who made the input, which it took completely from another source, and you will read it and you will think, wow, this is an excellent source, this is an excellent written phrase, I will use it, and then someone else will come and say, oh, this was actually plagiarism. But I feel right now the chances for it are low when you use the right prompting strategies, like let you give all the different sources. If you use also different AI systems, not only ChatGPT, like I mentioned, like if you use Site AI for quotation, if you also use maybe elicit.org for find additional articles, and still, like I want to encourage people not to write whole articles with AI. I want to encourage people to write the article with AI, to have the time to read then the papers more intensively the article is based on. I know this in my own research. I'm scanning 3 or 4 papers in parallel and then phrasing one sentence, and then I'm doing the quotation. And if I now have an AI tool which could like already do the quotation for me and maybe adjust my phrasing already, I can use the time and step a bit more closer into one of those articles that I was using to write this paragraph or this sentence, and maybe get the idea even better, and then I also will have a way more better way of arguing. And then also we have plagiarism softwares, so even if the current plagiarism softwares cannot detect AI always, they can at least detect the source the AI took this information from. And it could say that this is maybe plagiarism. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, Stefan. Maybe one last question, because it's late already now. One more question? Okay, then, Stefan, thank you very much for your very interesting presentation and also for the questions and answers. There are lots of problems which we have seen today. There are lots of chances of using AI, but there are also some challenges, and you need to do that correctly. You need to work on that. You need to verify everything, not to believe anything, simply what the AI tells you. But so there are chances, there are risks, but there are also a lot of advantages you can get. So, Stefan, thank you very much for being with us today. And I hope I see you soon, maybe in Germany or in Kazakhstan, or maybe you come to see us here. Okay, so now I would like, I think, to close the session for today. And students, thank you very much. You can download these materials, you should study them. If you have any questions, you can contact Stefan and ask. Okay, then the meeting is closed. Thank you. One last word, Stefan, to close?
Yes, of course, it was like really exciting, and also to see the engagement. It were really good questions by the students. And again, my goal was to show you how to use AI as a tool, and I want to encourage you to use it in the, let's say, in a way to maximize the quality of your academic work and yeah, to have a coach or an assistant in your life. And thank you very much also for the invitation. Thomas, it was really great experience, and I think we should also work on the idea to do a workshop in Indonesia. So let's see how this will work. And yeah, thank you a lot, and nice afternoon or evening starting. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you.